If you obsess over tiny details, outcomes, or getting it just right, it might not be because you are intense. It might be because you are protecting yourself. Think of habits you recognize. You replay conversations in your head. You check messages or notifications again and again. You need certainty before you start something. You fixate on one outcome, like a relationship, money, career, or success. Alfred Adler saw obsession not as a flaw, but as a hidden safety mechanism, one that can quietly shrink your life while convincing you it is keeping you safe. So why does your mind cling so tightly to control? And what is buried beneath that urge? The answer could reveal more about you than you ever realized. If you obsess over tiny details, outcomes, or getting it just right, it might not be because you are intense. It might be because you are protecting yourself. This is protection, not personality. You know the signs. You replay conversations in your head. You check messages or notifications over and over. You need certainty before starting anything. You fixate on one outcome, whether it is a relationship, money, career, or success. These behaviors feel familiar because they work, for a moment. Alfred Adler called this safeguarding. He described obsessive focus as a purposeful shield your mind builds to keep you from what feels dangerous or overwhelming. When you get stuck on a detail, or cannot move forward until everything feels just right, that is not random. It is a safety plan. The core idea is simple. If I control this one thing, I will not have to face the bigger fear underneath. That bigger fear might be rejection, failure, or uncertainty. Whatever feels too risky to handle head-on, it helps to remember what the detail really represents. It is rarely about the wording of a text message, the arrangement of your desk, or the exact timing of a reply. The detail becomes a stand-in for safety. It stands for approval, worth, certainty, or control. Underneath is what Adler called inferiority feelings. These are painful senses of not being enough. They are a normal part of being human. They can push you to grow, or they can trigger protection strategies. Obsession often looks like overcompensation. If I am perfect, I cannot be rejected. If I predict everything, I cannot be surprised. If I lock the outcome, I cannot fail. The mind chooses control on a small scale to avoid big fear. Big fears include uncertainty, rejection, humiliation, powerlessness, being ordinary, losing love, or failing publicly. Small control shows up as rituals, checking, planning, micromanaging, rigid rules, and constant optimization. The mind picks a manageable battlefield. Adler also described the fictional final goal. People chase an imagined end state that feels like it would finally make them safe. If I achieve X, I will finally be calm. If everyone approves, I will be okay. If nothing goes wrong, I can relax. The problem is the goal keeps moving, so the obsession never ends. There are payoffs to obsessing, and we should say them without shame. Obsession gives a sense of certainty. It can bring a feeling of competence or superiority. It helps avoid vulnerability. It gives an excuse not to risk, to say I am not ready yet. Obsessing is exhausting, but it can feel safer than trying. There are real costs: chronic anxiety, irritability, and burnout. Procrastination that looks like preparation. Relationship strain from control and constant reassurance seeking. A life that gets smaller, with fewer risks and less spontaneity. Obsession shrinks your life while pretending it is protecting it. Adler suggested a pivot from private logic to social connection. Growth happens by moving from self-protection to connection and contribution. The cure is not more control. The cure is more courage, connection, and purpose. This does not mean be selfless. It means stop living like life is a threat. Try a few practical steps. Name the bigger fear. Ask yourself, if this outcome does not happen, what am I afraid it says about me? Spot the fake safety rule, the thought, I can only relax when blank, and replace it with it, I can feel unsafe and still act. Shrink control and grow courage by choosing one small, let it be imperfect action today. Ask what you would do if you cared more about your values than certainty. Reframe obsession as protection. Tell yourself your brain is trying to help. It is just using an outdated method. Do one connection-based action today, message a friend, ask for help, or share honestly. A short story makes this real. Someone obsessed over a tiny detail, a text they sent, or a plan they made. The real fear underneath was simple. If I mess this up, I will be judged or rejected or left. One brave action, and tolerating uncertainty instead of trying to eliminate it changed how they acted. It did not erase fear, but it loosened the grip of the strategy. Adler would say obsession is not proof you are broken, it is proof you are scared. Your task is not to eliminate uncertainty. Your task is to build the courage to live with it. Comment what you tend to obsess over most: outcomes, relationships, money, health, or perfection. Alfred Adler understood the power of feeling not enough long before psychology had a name for it. As a child in Vienna, he battled rickets and pneumonia, and he spent months confined indoors while other kids ran and played. That early sense of weakness shaped his entire theory. Adler called it an inferiority feeling, not a flaw but a normal part of being human. It is the quiet voice that says you're falling behind or you do not measure up. For some people, this feeling sparks growth, a drive to learn, connect, or improve. But for many, it fuels a different script called overcompensation. The mind starts to bargain. If I am perfect, then no one can reject me. If I can predict every outcome, nothing can catch me off guard. If I control the result, failure cannot touch me. This pattern of overcompensation feels logical because it promises safety, but it is a strategy more than a solution. These scripts do not come from nowhere. Adler believed every person carries some version of this inner story, shaped by early struggles or by social comparisons. The urge to obsess, to fixate on the tiniest detail, often traces back to the need to cover up that old painful sense of not enough. It is not about being weak or broken. It is about the mind searching for safety. Adler's own life, surviving childhood illness, breaking with Freud, and building a new psychology, was proof that inferiority can drive strength or defense. The difference lies in how we respond. Do we use the feeling to grow or to hide? This emotional engine runs quietly beneath the surface, powering the urge to control, perfect, or predict. It is the root, not the symptom. The mind rarely attacks the biggest fear head-on. Instead, it picks a smaller, more manageable target. Something you can influence, something that feels safer to control. This is the manageable battlefield. Instead of facing the uncertainty of a job interview or the vulnerability of an honest conversation, the focus shifts to rewriting your resume for the 10th time, or rehearsing the perfect opening line. The pattern holds across situations: triple-checking a locked door to avoid the anxiety of potential danger, or refreshing your messages to dodge the discomfort of waiting. Research by Carlton in 2012 shows that intolerance of uncertainty predicts these repetitive behaviors: checking, rumination, and the urge to micromanage details. The mind's logic is simple. If you can control this one thing, maybe you can keep chaos at bay. But the real fear, rejection, failure, being ordinary, remains untouched. The relief from these rituals is always temporary. Each time the mind wins a small battle, the bigger threat stays in the background, waiting. The mind keeps returning to the same safe ground, hoping this time control will be enough. Obsession rarely delivers the peace it promises because the finish line keeps moving. Alfred Adler called this the final goal, an imagined end state where everything finally feels safe, calm, or complete. The mind latches onto thoughts such as, if I achieve this, I will finally be calm. If everyone approves, I will be okay. Or if nothing goes wrong, I can relax. Each one sounds like a solution, but in practice, the goal always slips further away. The moment you get close, the mind invents a new condition, another detail to fix, another outcome to secure. This cycle is not random. Adler believed we organize our lives around these invisible goals, often without realizing it. The payoff is real: a momentary sense of control, a brief relief from uncertainty, but the cost is just as real: more anxiety, more checking, more time spent chasing an outcome that never fully arrives. Obsession persists, not because you are failing, but because the mind is still chasing safety in a world that cannot guarantee it. The promise of just one more thing keeps us running, even when the finish line is always out of reach. Small experiments can reveal how obsession works and how it can change. Start by naming the bigger fear behind your urge to control. Ask yourself, if this doesn't go perfectly, what am I really afraid it means about me? Next, spot the fake safety rule. Fill in the blank. I can only relax when... Notice how often that rule shows up, then try replacing it. I can feel unsafe and still act. Choose one simple action to let be imperfect today. Maybe it is sending a message without rereading, or leaving your desk a little messy. Shift your focus from outcome to values. Ask, what would I do here if I cared more about my values than about being certain? When you catch yourself obsessing, reframe it as protection. Remind yourself, my brain is trying to help, but it's using an old method. Finally, take one connection-based step. Reach out to someone, ask for help, or share honestly. As one Adlerian clinician puts it, naming the hidden fear and trading a small test for certainty is often how change begins. A single moment can reveal everything about obsession and about what breaks its grip. Picture someone standing over their phone, heart pounding after sending a message that felt unfinished. The urge to delete it, to rewrite it, to make it perfect flares up. But this time, there is a pause. The hidden fear comes into focus. If I do not get this right, I will be judged and left out. That sentence is the engine underneath. Instead of scrambling for control, they let the message go. The anxiety spikes, but nothing catastrophic happens. The world keeps turning. This is the courageous act, doing the thing anyway, even when certainty is out of reach. The mind screams for safety, but the body stays put. The cure is not more control. It is more courage, connection, and purpose. In that small, imperfect action, something shifts. The obsession loses power, just for a moment. It is not about never feeling fear. It is about daring to move forward while carrying it. That is how the cycle starts to break. Right now, over 80% of adults report struggling with intrusive thoughts or perfectionistic habits. Obsession isn't a flaw. It is a signal. In a world obsessed with certainty, courage is the rarest skill. The challenge isn't to silence fear, but to move forward honestly, uncertainty and all. Share your thoughts below.